Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever it is that you are joining from all over the world. Welcome to our very first global conclave. We've had a few regional conclaves before, but this is the first time we are very ambitiously reaching across time zones. And I'd like to welcome all of you who've joined in from countries far and near. We have alumni from Africa, from North America, from literally every part of the world, and of course from India. My name is Dr. Anita Patankar, and I am the director at the Symbiosis School for Liberal Arts. I'm also the deputy director at the Symbiosis Center for International Education, and I'm extremely honored that Dr. Nilesh Kumbhodkar and Dr. Vidya have entrusted me with the pleasurable task of being your moderator this evening. I love the idea that Dr. Nilesh chose as the theme for this conclave, the power of ideas. It's something that we have read about, we talk about. The pandemic brought it into our lives in terms of innovation, new ideas. And I'd like to invite Dr. Nilesh to very quickly tell us why the Symbiosis Center for Alumni Engagement thought of this wonderful theme that Dr. Vidya could talk about. Dr. Nilesh?
Thank you, Dr. Anita, and a warm welcome to all alumni who have joined from different countries and parts of the world for discussing innovation. And Dr. Anita, you asked me a very pertinent question: why the power of ideas? So SCI became functional in the early part of 2080s, and since then we are trying to connect 2.5 lakh, 3 lakh alumni we have approximately through various channels. It could be portal, mobile app, social media, WhatsApp, Telegram, and we have been getting so many ideas. And we are our alumni are the torch bearer. Even thousands of our alumni are into entrepreneurship and startups, into various vehicles, like ranging from. There is a more need of to be connected and more need of to be together. We feel that innovation is the main fabric that can, or ideas are the main fabric that can keep us together, and that is why this theme. And in response to the invitation, many of our alumni have given ideas for Symbiosis to create engagement, and soon they will be discussing it with Dr. Vidya ma'am. However, some of them very specific to alumni initiative.
I think Dr. Nilesh is experiencing some kind of technical glitch. Therefore, I think what we'll do is we'll bring him in a little later. Dr. Vidya doesn't need an introduction, but I am going to share a few things that are more recent and maybe some of you are not aware of, and therefore I thought that this is relevant to the theme that we're talking about as well. We're talking about the power of ideas, we're talking about innovation, we're talking about reforms, and especially in the education sector and especially in the higher education sector. I think some of these recognitions and achievements that she's had will go a long way in making you feel very comfortable as Symbiosis alumni, that your Pro-Chancellor is playing such a pivotal role in the Indian higher education sector. So let me just briefly share some of the more recent achievements and recognitions that she has. She is the chair of the Higher Education Committee at FICCI. FICCI plays a big role today working with the government of India, the ministries related to higher education, and she heads that higher education committee. She's also the chair of a very interesting new chapter in India. It's the India chapter of Obrial Global. And through this international body, we are now looking at entering into a new area of focus. And this is, the South-South North collaborations. We're looking more intensely at inter-regional cooperation. We're working with countries from Latin America, from Africa, from Asia, And that is something that's exciting. She's also a member of the Central Governing Council of the SEPC. And she's a member of, I feel, a very ambitious trust called the Brand India Equity Foundation Trust, set up by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. She's also an advisor to the World Bank as they work in India, especially with the implementation of the new national education policy, an advisor to them on all matters related to Indian education. And this is something that is in the field. Her scholarship is in the field of internationalization of higher education. As you know, she's a gynec obstetrician. I hope I pronounced that properly. She's a medical doctor by training and by practice. And after that, she did her LLB, and her PhD is in internationalization of higher education. So I honestly believe whenever the government of India or any agency wants to know about what's happening in Indian higher education and internationalization, which has become such a big agenda for the government, Dr. Vidya gets invited as an expert. So I'm very happy to now hand over the stage to Dr. Vidya Yerodekar. I work with her. I consider it a great privilege that I can learn so much from her. And I'm interested, as you are, in hearing about her ideas and the power of ideas. Dr. Vidya.
So thank you, Anita, for that very elaborate introduction. In fact, when I was just listening to what you're talking about me, it made me feel, or rather it made me wonder whether am I working for Symbiosis? Nevertheless, I think it's this organization that has given us so much identity. And like all of you, my dear alumni, I'm so happy to see so many of you right here in front of my screen, that y'all are our extended family. I think y'all were with Symbiosis at a point in time when y'all were young, naive, nascent, and now y'all are, wonderful men and women who have children. I heard some of them also have grandchildren, and it's so nice to see you still connected with Symbiosis. Nevertheless, I keep telling Nilesh that this alumni network should grow further, and he's done a marvelous job. I think we have a database of close to 3 lakh alumni now. We are still trying to find out those who were there with us in 1971, not primarily studying at Symbiosis, because Symbiosis was not an educational institution then. It was just a Symbiosis International Cultural Center. But nevertheless, those alumni who were there at that point in time with my father, Dr. Muzumdar, are at very top positions in their home countries, and many of them, of course, foreign students. So we're trying to locate them, because as a young girl, I still remember some of the names: Ali Hashemi from Iran, James Ramlal from Suriname, John Owens, who we are still connected with from US in Minneapolis, Sakaram from Mauritius, and so many names that I can still very fondly remember. In fact, all of them were like my kakas. And so after every name, I would call James Kaka, John Kaka, and I still call them the same. And I just hope that, one day they can come back to Symbiosis, to India, to meet all of us. And I just hope each one of you also finds an opportunity to come here to India, to Symbiosis, to Pune. And when you see what it has grown into, I'm sure you will be very satisfied. I know Nilesh keeps sending you a lot of mails. I keep sending you a lot of mails, but physically coming here and actually experiencing it would be something very different. So I welcome all of you to this large Symbiosis family, and I hope that you all are our guests, and we can host you here on our campus. Please come with your families. Symbiosis is beyond hostels and academic blocks. It also has a beautiful hotel now on the campus at a very picturesque location, because we have a Symbiosis School of Culinary Arts and Hotel Management. And as a training center, it's a beautiful hotel that you all can actually come and experience and stay with us. The topic given to me today is power of ideas. And honestly, I'm no TED speaker. I told Anita and Nilesh that I don't think I can, be on the screen for that longer period that, Nilesh has given me. Nor have I really spoken on subjects beyond education much. If you wake me up at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, I can speak on higher education, school education, internationalization, any of those jargons, but certainly not subjects beyond those. A little bit of medicine, which I've still not forgotten, so I can speak on medicine, a little bit on legal matters, but certainly not on such generic matters. But yes, I am going to talk to you about our own experiences here, and how there've been such powerful ideas that have come to the minds of several people, and how they've come into reality. And I always wonder, when was Symbiosis really born and how was it born? And each one of you knows the story. And one day when Dr. Muzumdar was, I think, 75 years old, someone came to him and said that, sir, it's high time you started writing about your autobiography. You must write your autobiography so that many people would read it, and they would know the experiences that you have gone through. And most autobiographies or biographies that we read, and at least I'm very, very fond of reading autobiographies, is because there's a huge learning, and so many times you relate to so many incidences that the author has quoted, and you wonder that sometimes your life also has gone through the same journey, but why haven't you really become what the author has become? And when this question was posed to Sir pondered over some time, and then he called me and he said, people have been telling me to write about my autobiography, but honestly, Symbiosis and I are no different. If I have to write, I should write about Symbiosis, because whether it's Dr. Muzumdar or Symbiosis, it's two sides of the same coin. And then he said that why should I even write about Symbiosis? I should write about the biography of an idea, because what was really Symbiosis? It was an idea that came to his mind, and therefore the book that he wrote first was Symbiosis, Biography of an Idea. And I remember my daughter presented to him on his 75th birthday a book called Tipping Point, and exactly the author has said the same thing as what Sir has written. And this is indeed a biography of an idea that came to the mind of a young professor to start or to do something for international students. Nobody had thought of this. I'm sure many professors in Fergusson College at that point in time, they have experienced what Dr. Muzumdar experienced with foreign students. Many of them probably would have even thought of what Dr. Muzumdar thought of at that point in time. But honestly, I wonder, how do thoughts get converted to ideas? And then when you really look back, you realize that we also have so many thoughts that come to our mind. And thoughts are something that just pass through. When you do meditation, they tell you that you will get thousands of thoughts that should just pass through your mind and just forget them. They should be like waves in an ocean. And so these are thoughts that just pass by and you don't even remember these thoughts. But there could be one thought that keeps lingering in your mind, which keeps bothering your mind, which at times even causes disruption in you. And this is a thought that you probably consider as an idea. And then when you consider this as an idea, you definitely want that idea to be, to become a reality. And then when you really look at whether it can become a reality, some of them who we call them as visionaries actually bring this idea into reality. And many of us, who can't bring this idea into a reality, actually fear of getting this idea into a reality. Because most of the times you feel that, oh, this is a brilliant idea I have in my mind, but how can I implement it? Who will implement it for me? What is the kind of money that I will require to implement it? And what are the kind of people that I will want to in my team to implement this idea? I think it is a fear that overrides in our mind much more than what the idea overrides. And therefore that idea fades away. And sometimes, coincidentally, you see the same idea being brought to reality by someone else. I'm sure each one of you who's in front of me right now must have thought of a brilliant idea and must have realized that, someone else actually brought that idea to light. And you sometimes wonder, how did he do it or how did she do it? And how is it that you couldn't? And I think the only differentiator was that the other person was fearless to bring that idea into reality, and you feared getting that idea into reality. So as my father always tells me, that have no fear in your mind, take the risk. If you think of a brilliant idea, don't even bother from where the finances will come. finances will flow if the means are good. And this has happened so many times with Symbiosis, and we've seen so many times happening this happening all around us. I mean, ideas have actually changed nations. Ideas have changed cultures. Ideas have changed the environment, the ecosystem. I mean, look at the idea of Swaraj that Mahatma Gandhi had. And could you have ever imagined a young lawyer coming from South Africa into this country with an idea in his mind to bring up freedom? I mean, I'm sure he didn't have money, nor did he have any followers then. But just that idea with a fearless mind that he wanted to bring into reality, he became a leader, he became a Mahatma with thousands of followers even today after he's no more. The idea of Swadeshi, when Lokmanya Tilak thought about it, when I'm sure nobody ever thought, or maybe many other people even did think at a time when the British were ruling us, we were so patriotic, we wanted Swadeshi to happen. But I'm sure nobody else actually thought of bringing that idea into reality. There's several such examples in our country who have brought this idea into reality. But there are thousands of other examples who could not bring this idea into reality. Many times that idea may not be in your mind. It could be in someone else's mind. Someone else has shared that idea with you, but you have had the courage to bring that idea into reality. And let me give you a few examples of, some of the institutions that you all come from. Look at what SIBM was and how did it start. Was it an idea that actually Dr. Muzumdar sir thought of? Yes. And how did he think of this idea? Symbiosis was not an educational institution. It was just an international cultural center. He started teaching English to foreign students because Symbiosis was born for foreign students. And he realized that these foreign students did not speak English, could not communicate well in English, could not write the papers in English, and therefore failed not just in the examinations, but failed miserably in the city of Pune. And therefore he started teaching English. But how did this idea of starting a business school come in? Yes, there's a small story. At that point in time, some of you senior alumni who are from Pune would know that there was an institution called IMDR. It was run by Dr. Shezvalkar, one of the management gurus of the city, I would say, of the country. And Dr. Shezvalkar decided that the institution that was earlier affiliated to Pune University, he wanted to disaffiliate it because he was not happy with the kind of curriculum that Pune University imposed on him. He wanted this institution to be autonomous, to have the freedom to do what he felt like. And when that happened, Dr. Muzumdar, who was on the governing board of the Pune University, had this brilliant idea that when there is a vacuum, when there is a vacancy, when there is a need for an institution of giving management education, being affiliated to Pune University, why should he not start one? And you won't believe it, just a day before the managing committee, he applied for Symbiosis to get the Symbiosis Institute of Business Management being approved by the Pune University. I'm sure this idea must have come to so many other people in the city of Pune. When IMDR closed the doors of Pune University and became an autonomous institution, I'm sure several other academicians and educationists from Pune city must have thought that, why can't we start an MBA school affiliated to Pune University? But nobody dared to do that. Again, why? The fear of where would the money come from? The fear of where would students come from? The fear of Symbiosis as a word not known to students at all. And how would I run this institution? The fear of where would professors come from into a new institution? And Dr. Muzumdar was fearless. And he decided that he should start SIBM. And it's all history. You know how SIBM, now an institution of repute, and what it's doing in the city of, not just in the city of Pune, but in our country, and I would say globally, with all of you successful alumni having passed out of this institution. Same as the story with the law school. Imagine a professor having an idea of starting a law school. Was it his idea? No, it was my uncle who was a judge. And he was in the High Court of Pune. And one fine evening, I still remember the conversation. He said, the lawyers who come in front of me are not well educated. In fact, some of them from the ILS Law School are brilliant, but many others from other law schools are not so great. And even at that point in time, Pune had several law schools. I'm sure there could be 10 plus law schools in the city of Pune. And he told my father, why don't you start a law school? Again, someone would have really felt scared. I mean, with 10 plus law schools in the city of Pune, with the ILS already in existence, one of the most reputed law schools of our country, why would a young professor think of starting a law school? Again, he dared to do that. And with an idea that came to the mind of his brother, his elder brother, who could not implement it, Dr. Muzumdar decided to implement it and bring it into reality. I can give you thousands of examples of what Symbiosis has done through the power of idea. The recent most, of course, is the Symbiosis Medical College. Who would go and see a movie, a Marathi movie that too, of the first lady physician of India, Anandi Gopal, and would come back in the night and call me and say that you are a doctor and I want you to start a medical college. And I just laughed and I said, it's not as easy as starting a law school or a business school. You can have a few classrooms and a few computer labs, and you can actually start a law or a business school, but that cannot happen with medicine. You need a hospital first, and then you need laboratories, and you need a huge infrastructure, and you need to satisfy the demands of the Medical Council of India by way of an exorbitant infrastructure as well as faculty members. It can't happen overnight. And he said that I don't care. I don't know where the finances will flow. I don't know where the teachers will come from. I want to start a medical college to empower girls so that more and more girls get into medical education and become women doctors and treat patients in our country. And within 6 months, an infrastructure of more than 13 lakh square feet came into existence, and the dream of Dr. Muzumdar, or the idea of Dr. Muzumdar, came into reality. So I think when it comes to ideas, it not necessarily be an idea that has come to your mind, but I would say an idea that should be brought into reality requires a lot of factors. You need that idea to be really powerful. You need to be really passionate about that idea. I would say you need to be obsessed with that idea. Day and night, you must think of that idea. The second is fearlessness. If you fear of bringing that idea into reality, I'm sure someone else will capture that idea and bring it into reality. And therefore, fearlessness, or taking the risk, or having the ability to take the risk, is one more important feature to the power of idea. The third, finances. Of course, it's important, but I'm sure finances would just flow if the idea is powerful. But more important, I think, you need people around you who would believe in the same idea as that you are believing in. And I think that is of paramount importance. Today, when all of us work in organizations, I work for a university, you all work for business houses, you all would realize that no matter how hard you work, no matter how brilliant an idea comes to your mind, it is not just you alone who will bring that idea into reality. It is people with you who will bring that idea into reality. And many a times, if you don't find the right people along with you, most of the times that idea fails. And I'm sure you should not feel, you should not have any fear of even failing, because only when you fail several times will that idea succeed. And in Symbiosis, fortunately, we've not failed many times, but yes, a couple of times we have. We've started institutions which we feel will run better than others. And at times we realize that, a program that we've started would be in high demand, but many times we have failed, but we've never faltered in bringing that idea into reality. And we see so many examples all across, in our country, in the world, in Symbiosis. I'm sure you've seen, in your organizations, that it's not every time that the leader who thinks of an idea and the leader who makes that idea powerful. Many a times, people who work for you can also think of ideas. And I always give importance to not entrepreneurs alone, but to intrapreneurs. And we've seen that so many of the, the second rung or the third rung people in an organization who are hardworking, who are dedicated, who are committed to the organization, who we call them as intrapreneurs, are far more important than at times the leaders or the entrepreneurs. Look at what Symbiosis is all about. It's not just Dr. Muzumdar or now me who's looking after Symbiosis, runs this whole organization. We have excellent directors. You have Dr. Anita Patankar, Dr. Raman, our own Vice Chancellor, Dr. Bhama. I can take names of almost 70 plus directors, because there are 70 plus institutions of Symbiosis. And I would say each one of them is an entrepreneur, because they feel that this organization belongs to them. I can only say that we've created an ecosystem by which each one of them feels that this organization belongs to them. So whether it's, a director of an institution, a deputy director of an institution, or even faculty members, how do you create an ecosystem for each one of them to feel that this institution or this university belongs to them? How can you create an ecosystem by which each one of them feels that this is their family? And when you create that kind of ecosystem, these are the same people who will bring in power to this idea. These are the same people who will bring this idea into reality. I have a new idea which I want to bring into reality, and I've been struggling for a long time. And I just hope that in a few years, this idea will also come into reality. And I would really like to share this idea with you. We have the Symbiosis Institute of Technology, which is our engineering school. And I don't know how many of you have visited this university campus from where I'm speaking, which is a beautiful 350 acres campus on the hilltop with a picturesque location and a hill base with a golf course, an 18-hole golf course surrounding us, fortunately. Beautiful villages, about 104 villages surrounding us. And this location is simply beautiful. There located is our Symbiosis Institute of Technology at the foothills. And as you climb up the Ghat Road, the Institute of Technology or our engineering school is on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we had almost 40 acres of land that I had kept vacant, because I always believed that whenever Symbiosis decides to start a medical school, it should be adjacent to the engineering school, to the Institute of Technology. And why did I think like that? Because once when Mr. Kapil Sibal was the Minister of Education, he had taken a few of us from some good universities in India to visit some of the top universities in the US. And I still remember we visited Stanford, Harvard, MIT, Yale, and I cannot forget the beautiful collaboration that MIT and Harvard have, which is called the Health Science Technology Initiative or the Health Science Technology Department, where engineers and doctors actually come together to invent, where engineers and doctors brainstorm on wonderful ideas that they bring into reality. And the best part of it, that many of these engineers and doctors from MIT and Harvard were Indians. And I was so fascinated that when I came back, I had decided that whenever a medical school comes up, it should be next to the engineering school. And today, if you see this beautiful almost 80 acres of campus at the foothills of the university, has the engineering school, has the School of Biological Sciences, has the medical school, has the nursing school, has the School of Allied Sciences with medical technology, and of course, the Masters in Public Health programs. It is such a beautiful complex with the nodal Symbiosis Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation right in the midst of this wonderful 80-acre campus. I have a dream, I have an idea of creating something called as a health science technology park. I mean, imagine when you drive through this beautiful university campus, right at the entry gate, you see this lovely Symbiosis Institute of Technology. Next to it, you see the Symbiosis Medical College. Next to it, you see companies and startups of our own students right now incubated in our Symbiosis Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which is a technology business incubator. And on the right side, you also see the nursing school and medical college students walking in their aprons, engineering college students working in their laboratories. And on the Ghat Road, I would really want to create tunnels where physical interaction and interface happens between students of medical, of medicine and engineering. Interfaces happen between the faculty of engineering and medicine. And so that they come together, innovate, brainstorm on powerful ideas, and bring into reality products that will serve the humanity. And I realize this more and more when we are going through this whole crisis of the pandemic, that health and technology has to come together so as to bring in innovations and inventions for the society at large. And I really envision that in the few years to come, this beautiful 80 acres campus would be created as a health science technology park of Symbiosis. And here is where I want my alumni to contribute with the brilliant ideas that you have in your mind. How can we create this health science technology park? How can we have companies actually incubated on the campus? How can some of you come and mentor the startups of these students? How can some of you come and actually do research on innovative things right here on our campus? How can you adopt these 22 villages that we have adopted? How can you actually bring in, new innovations in sanitation, in waste management that we are doing right now? How can you bring in innovations through the Center for Nanoscience and Nanotechnology? Can some of you actually start working on our artificial intelligence center, which is again focused on, healthcare? There are so many things that each one of you can actually bring here. Bring in your ideas that we can actually make them powerful and convert them into reality. I want each one of you as a Symbiosis alumnus, globally, wherever you are, to contribute your little time to bring this beautiful university in, and take this to greater heights and bring this health science technology park into reality. As a medical doctor, I believe that healthcare and health sciences is going to get more and more important in years to come. Not just because of the pandemic, but if you look at world over, I think the common thread that each one of us speaks about is healthcare. You can teach dime a dozen subjects in humanities and social sciences, in engineering, in computer science, in media, in several other branches, but health is something that none of us can really ignore. And if you really marry health with technology, that is going to be the future of higher education, not just the Indian higher education, but the global higher education. And you must certainly think of how each one of you, whether junior or senior, at whatever gestational age that you are in, at whatever stage of your profession that you are in, try and contribute some time to this brilliant idea of creating a health science technology park on this very campus of your own alma mater. I won't take more time to now talk about the subject of power of ideas. I've tried to conceptualize my own thoughts and try to give you some insights into the ideas that we have in our mind at Symbiosis. I hope that you are equal contributors to these powerful ideas that we have. Some of those innovative ideas that you all have, you all can share with us. And let me tell you that I'm very keen in creating chapters of Symbiosis alumni networks in the Asia Pacific region, if possible in Singapore, we've already spoken about it. In the Gulf region, we've already spoken about it, having a chapter in Dubai, maybe a US, Canada chapter, maybe a Europe chapter. And with the spearheading this alumni engagement center with Dr. Raman, who's now not just the director of SIBM, but also the director of strategy and development at Symbiosis, with Anita spearheading the internationalization. I'm sure all of us can work together to bring Dr. Muzumdar's dream not just into reality, which he's already brought in, but can we take his dream to much, much greater heights than what it is today. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and I'll be more than happy to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, your passion and your commitment, not just for taking, Sir's idea forward, but in your own way, broadening his dream and vision is always inspiring. So very, very happy and fortunate to have heard you. We have alumni here who have sent in their questions, and I'm going to now move on to that part of this evening, morning, afternoon, as I said, wherever you are joining in from. And we're going to begin with one of our very senior alumni members who's very actively engaged with not just SIU, but specifically with Dr. Nilesh and the center. Naveen Chandani, if you could just unmute yourself. Naveen is from SIIB 1995-97. I don't know whether I taught Naveen or not. Probably did, but Naveen, good to have you. And as one of the, this is, where seniority always gets respected. So happy to have you with us this evening. If you can unmute yourself and ask Dr. Vidya your question or give your suggestion.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Anita. Always pleasure interacting with you, Dr. Vidya. In fact, Dr. Ramanan, Dr. Nilesh, we have been in touch over the last few years. And one of the suggestions, for an idea was, like Dr. Vidya mentioned, 70 institutes. and healthcare undoubtedly is the most important in everybody's mind. But I do believe for us who come from a business background, financial inclusion is as important, because if you don't have the money, you can't pay for the healthcare. So one of my ideas and recommendations is that with 70 institutions, not only chapters to be created basis geographies, but possibly a chapter to be created by verticals. So for example, a BFSI chapter, which takes into banking, financial services, insurance, payments, and fintech, so that we can come back to the campus and, like Dr. Vidya mentioned, incubate and see how we can make Bharat into India, right? Because the rural India and the modern India is yet poles apart. And it is through healthcare, which Dr. Vidya mentioned, and it is through financial inclusion that this can work. So if these 70 institutes, 3 lakh alumni can start creating these chapters, and if the institute can help us, come together and come up with an idea for better financial inclusion, what can we do for the society at large? I think that would be a superb, outcome. So that's one of the ideas that I had, and happy to hear from Dr. Vidya and yourself, Dr. Anita.
So this is, Naveen, thank you. This is a brilliant idea. And let me give you a little background of why I would like to support this idea. And this is very nice that like a vertical of BFSI, we can have several other verticals, and we must have. And that's not just going to benefit, Symbiosis, but really even other alumni who are still younger, and who would want, more knowledge from this sector. But let me give you an example. Today, we are running the Symbiosis University Hospital. It's a 900-bedded hospital, and out of which 700 beds are run totally free. Totally means we don't even charge a penny. Okay. There are 22 villages around us. We were thinking of, can we devise a micro insurance scheme for these villagers where the premium is paid by Symbiosis Society, so that these people who don't come in that bracket of orange ration card where the government supports, the government also supports through the Ayushman Bharat and other health schemes, but there is a large population beyond that which also cannot afford healthcare. Can we support them through an insurance scheme that we can actually run, along with an insurance company? Of course, we don't want to get into medical insurance, but along with an insurance company, and insure all these, people in these villages. So this is a brilliant idea that you have thought of, that if the BFSI vertical and likewise several other verticals can be brought together as verticals where alumni can actually brainstorm and look at what they can contribute, not just to Symbiosis, but to India. I mean, that will be one of the greatest contributions from Symbiosis alumni. Dr. Raman?
Can I come in? Can I come in? This is Ramchari.
Sure.
Just my mind is going wild on this. So I am now invested in a blockchain, which is Singapore-based entity, and we're looking at financial inclusion in Africa, and especially government-based benefits program. And I'm thinking very loud. Though it's patented, I can bring this to the incubation center to do on blockchain your insurance distribution, and we'll do it free for you. So I just got associated with that startup 7 months back. I'm an investor in that, and I have a global remit to commercialize it. And we don't mind, I'll go back to my board, and I don't mind positioning it as a initiative, maybe incubated only for healthcare sector using the blockchain for insurance. And there you don't need running it on a ID platform. And on blockchain, you could create a token and a capability to manage the...
Dr. Raman, would you like to respond to this?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, we have a separate incubation center, which has been funded by DST. Mr. Ramchari, when you're talking about this, it will be fantastic if you're able to send a note. I'll post that in the chat window. 1 second, please. Yeah, I think I have posted it to you. I'll post it to everyone. If anyone wants to go and do something similar to what Mr. Ramchari is talking about, bringing back kind of a startup, he's talking about blockchain. back to India, you can write to the email address that's mentioned here, which is exclusively set up for this purpose of helping creating startups and creating new ideas, which is funded by GST. So, Mr. Ramchari, if you can please send a note to the email address that's mentioned in this chat window. In case you are not able to access it, I'll request Dr. Nilesh to send it across to you.
Sir, we will do that. I'll speak to Ramchari and sir and send him the URL. In fact, there is one idea. Also, ideas are pouring, and I'm sure Anita ma'am must be watching those questions as well. Anita ma'am.
To Parag Deshpande. Parag Deshpande is from SIIB 1997-99, and he has a suggestion. He has a question. I should also say that Parag has already played a huge role in working with Dr. Nilesh in the area of CSR, and we're happy to have you. Parag, if you could just unmute yourself and.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. By the way, you taught us in 99 batch for sure. I don't know about Navin. But yes, I think one of the ideas and one of the kind of incidents that I'll talk to you about when you, Vidya madam and Nilesh, we were visiting NCR. At that time, we had a kind of a SIBM and all the other Symbiosis groups met together in Delhi. And during that time, we discussed an idea, and it's the same idea. I'm not going to the next idea until we execute it to the greater satisfaction than what we are doing today. So then idea was that CSR will become a mandatory thing in India, but overall there are a lot of alumni who are actually have a responsibility of spending on the CSR kind of initiative, and they have budgets for it. And we were kind of looking in American Express. At that time, I was on the board of director of one of their subsidiaries in India. And we had, as you know, as per the section 135 of Companies Act, about 2% of the net profit has to be invested into CSR. And there may be voluntary contributions as well coming through the organization and the CSR budget. And we were trying to see that are there any projects where we can support, and from a financial standpoint, and also some of our employees can go and do some car seva as well, right? Car seva, and make sure that we have the involvement, end-to-end involvement in the initiative. And what happened was we tried, before we met you, we tried, and we were basically not being able to initiate anything. And finally, on the 31st of March, you end up paying all that money to the Prime Minister's Fund, which I'm sure goes for a right cause as well. But nonetheless, the objective of in the Companies Act to encouraging companies to invest in CSR is they taking some initiatives as well, giving back to the community standpoint. So a lot of projects that we have, and Vidya ma'am, can we create some kind of a PMO and have a process by which we can reach out to corporates like American Express, or now I'm in Axis Bank, and we have our CSR money, right? And we pitch for these projects. So it's not just the Symbiosis keep on investing in these projects. We create a funding mechanism which is self kind of running, and all these projects that will come in will be self-funding in themselves. I'm sure there are a lot of corporates looking for eligible and meritorious projects to invest their CSR dollars in. So that was the idea. And we did some work in American Express. I'm in touch with Nilesh and continue to work on it, but up for broader alumni to also think in that direction. And secondly, we create some kind of a PMO, which creates documentation which we require to our foundation arms of our companies, where we can pitch in for these ideas.
Yeah, Parag, so I remember meeting you and discussing all this, but you know what happens? This is exactly what I told Nilesh, that in India, we are very shy of asking for money. I mean, as an individual, as an organization, etc. Okay. The second is, of course, with the pandemic, many corporates did want to fund, for COVID patients, for capital investment of ventilators, etc. And some of the alumni, I must put it on record that they did come forward and help, like HDFC through Suman Rampal gave us, from SIIB gave us some money. and several other alumni. I won't take names of all of them, but I must thank them on record right here in front of all of you. But yes, we've never done anything proactively to seek for CSR funding, and it's high time we did, because let me also tell you that while Symbiosis has, is an institution where whatever surpluses, and we don't even talk about profits, and I don't mind sharing with you this, that whatever surpluses that come out of various institutions of Symbiosis, not necessarily all run in surpluses, is flowed back totally into the development of Symbiosis. And that's how you see so many campuses and all this lovely infrastructure and everything coming up. But now with a free hospital of 700 beds, it has to be a sustainable model. While it is my father's dream to create this hospital and run it free, for me, all of you, I sit and look at the P&L of Symbiosis. Yes, it is a challenge. And therefore, this kind of funding for various initiatives, and which are charity initiatives, is certainly that we plan to, and we want to create an office. And I would really request some of you who are into this to help us, because, from the education side, we are not those who will actually, don't even have the know-how of a PMO, don't even have the know-how of how to really, create a fund, how to manage that fund, and so on and so forth. If you look at US universities, whether it's Harvard, Stanford, or any of the, not even the so top ones, even at the lower ones, have excellent endowment funds. And these are managed totally professionally. The university doesn't manage that endowment fund. And I'm seriously thinking of creating something like this, a structure, a totally different structure that can help create a fund that will help, all these initiatives at Symbiosis. And I really request you all to send us mails of whoever is interested in helping us to do this. And I will certainly, I'm sure in years to come, have something like a PMO that that Parag you spoke about.
Thank you, ma'am. I look forward to contributing in that regard, not just giving an idea. So I'll be actively involved with, opportunities in that regard.
Thank you, Parag. May I now call Manish Sarma from SCMHRD, 1997-99 batch.
Hi, ma'am. This is Manish Mishra, SCMHRD 97. First of all, Nilesh sir, thank you for getting all of us together. And I think it is more frequent now, which makes us feel as a part of the family to know what is happening across Symbiosis. And Dr. Vidya, I think some great, I think opening statements you had, which I think if turned into reality will really, really take all of us into a different platform. My question also goes in quite similar. Of late, we are experiencing a continuous transformation happening in a very, very short time frame. We were just talking about Industrial Revolution 4. Then we were hit by COVID. We were just grappling through it. And then suddenly we find we have to prepare for the next normal, where the world is changing, work is changing, the workplace is changing continuously now. So there is a need for a reskilling, upskilling, and a continuous skilling that needs to happen. And I think this is becoming I would say a massive problem across. I do see the need for a huge collaboration between alumni and the institutions. I'm tempted to say almost like go back to school, but maybe in a different format, shorter versions, online versions where we can reskill to be continuously learning new skills as well as become lifelong learners. Any thoughts, any initiative from Symbiosis in this direction?
Yes, Manish, we are very soon. I mean, it's almost ready, but we're just waiting for a day to launch it. We are launching a platform called SIUX with online courses. And we're going to launch it first, of course, for all of you as alumni. And not only that, we will upskill you all by, courses being run by our own faculty, but I would also urge that some of you actually come and teach, on these online platforms that we are going to create. And we've come up with exactly what you're saying, that we realize that there is a need for upskilling. As a doctor, let me tell you that, what I learned in OBGY in the 80s, I definitely need to upskill if I have to go and operate on a patient or, even conduct a normal labor. So likewise, I'm sure, the industry is changing so fast that what you learned with us at your MBA or your business school, I'm sure you definitely need to upgrade your skills. And we realized that, and we felt that, first of all, we were again very anxious of how to teach online. You know, I mean, we've thought of this kind of platform even years before, but our faculty was so scared of teaching. But with this pandemic, you know, it just, I mean, everybody was hit, and I'm sure the education was hit so badly. And our faculty are now so accustomed to online teaching, and we have our own studios. We've created wonderful, you know, online coursework for our own students. And I'm sure in the next, hardly a few weeks from now, Manish, you will receive mails from us with at least about 8 to 10 courses. And Dr. Raman, being the Director of Strategy and Development, he's deeply involved in this SIUX platform. And I'll urge Raman to speak a little bit about it, Raman.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, we are in fact launching about 43 courses, all cutting edge online. It's called SIUX platform, like Dr. Vidya told. This will be modular courses, which will be online, live. Recorded versions also will be available, and specifically offered by those institutions which have expertise in it. Like we got an SIIB, then we have got an SEMHRD, of course, SABM, smaller institutions like School of Banking and Finance, SSDF. No, these are the institutions which are offering cutting edge courses. And in fact, like rightly pointed by Dr. Vidya, we are also extending invitations to select few alums who are experts in this area to be a part of this delivery process as well. The site should be up and running for sure for applications before first week of September. That's the target that we have set. In fact, we were planning to launch by 31st, but last moment we are trying to go and fix up certain technical stuff so that will be live. So here is an open invitation for all who are interested in something like this to join. Dr. Nilesh will be, of course, the one-point contact who will be sending this information. All those who are ready to be a part of it for these modular courses to be delivered online, you're welcome. As I already told, these are not the regular run-of-the-mill courses in management, HR, operations, marketing. No, they are very specific courses which will be of value to people who want to learn. In fact, you'll be surprised that some of them have eligibility that if you want to learn, you enroll. That's all. You need not be a graduate, postgraduate, all that is taken off. Anyone who's willing to learn is the eligibility for such courses. And thanks to the bank of credits that's being introduced by the new education policy, these will all be 1 credit courses. So someone taking up this course can also deposit this course in the bank of credits tomorrow if they want to do a program later on from Symbiosis. They say we have already completed this 1 credit in this specific area because of the academic bank of credits. It'll all be 1 credit courses which can be deposited back if someone is planning. I'm talking about those youngsters who plan to take up these credits. But all those who just want to learn will learn it and then use it in their workplace. So that's about the SIUX platform that will get launched soon. Thank you, ma'am. I think I could give some details about it. Yeah.
Let me also tell you that an extension of this will also be an executive MBA, which we plan to run online. So some of you, who have done their postgraduate diplomas and all that, we may think, and I cannot commit because it will have to go through the academic council and, the board of management. But we are also looking at the postgraduate diplomas that we actually ran because we were autonomous institutions. How can we look at the credits that you've already taken through the postgraduate diplomas, and can we gather some of those credits, get them into the executive MBA program, and maybe look at a much shorter MBA program for you all, so that some of you want to upgrade to PhDs can definitely, because I think one problem that many of you all are facing is that because you all have done the postgraduate diplomas, you are not eligible to, get into the PhD program. And I'm sure many of you are interested in doing their PhDs because we keep getting a lot of mails from alumni asking us whether they're eligible. So we're trying to bridge that gap. And the Indian government with the new education policy has launched this academic bank of credit. So a student opens an account, deposits his credits, and then, goes on to do something more, deposits those credits, and, then the whole, once his account is full, he actually gets, requisite degree or diploma. So we are trying to do this at the Symbiosis level as well.
Otherwise, when I was looking at the chat box, I saw Ravi Jain from Kenya. He had something interesting to say. So Ravi Jain, if you're here.
Yes, I can hear you. So basically, I think since I'm based in Kenya and I've been here for almost like 6 years and completely like 10 years in Africa. So I can tell you that like the way Symbiosis has benefited, like a lot of foreign students come to Symbiosis and study. So I think Africa is one of the places whereby the population is almost close to 1.3 to 4 billion. So there is a place where opportunity whereby Symbiosis can open a branch here and can benefit the Africans, the students here. that is one opportunity I see. I think how Vidya ma'am can handle that, that will be really a good opportunity here.
Yeah, so Ravi, thank you very much. We have a lot of African students, and I know that there are a lot of non-resident Indians from Africa also who want to come and study at Symbiosis. We haven't really thought of our expansion plans outside of India, because right in India here we've expanded quite a lot. But yes, we would certainly be open to executive education, which we now have a center in Oman. We would want to have a center in Dubai and a center somewhere in Africa. We haven't thought where. And Singapore. So these are 4 places where we certainly want to create executive education centers where a faculty can travel. We can get some local expertise as well, because that's something that the Indian government is also trying to push. Apart from this, the Ministry of External Affairs has a very nice ITech program for African students specifically, which is an online platform, and Symbiosis now, with the launch of online programs, I'm sure we'll be able to cater to a lot of the students from Africa. On another note, I would also like to tell all of you all that with the Symbiosis Medical College, we have almost 15% seats in the medical college for girls. Of course, it's only for girls, for NRI students. And therefore, I think you all must make it a point to either some of you want to send their daughters to do medicine, or some of your friends who would want to apply, because the NEET exam is right around the corner. And please definitely ask them to, apply through NEET, giving a choice for Symbiosis. Because once those seats get full, because last year, of course, was the first year, but I get so many recommendations from our own alumni and later, because it's a very strict process, one cannot help. And therefore, I just thought I'll share this with you. So please pass on this information to even your friends, in your countries who are non-resident Indians and whose daughters can certainly apply through the NEET portal, giving the choice of the Symbiosis Medical College for Women.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Chari?
Yeah, I did wanted to say that Dr. Vidya is no less than one of the best TED speakers that I've heard. So,
absolutely.
She did a great job. And secondly, I wanted to say anything either in the Innovation Center or in your education curriculum on CBDC, which is crypto digital currencies, blockchain, using that platform. I can get you experts, I can get you content, and I can help you deliver those sessions.
I really want all of you all to be deeply engaged with Symbiosis. I don't know in which way you can, but please send us, through Nilesh, write to me directly, areas of interest, and we try to get that. And I think, Raman, we need to involve all of them, not just in their own institutions. When I'm on the WhatsApp group, and even if I don't put in my comments, I read every day, I read, all the comments, sent by our students, by our alumni. And it's so nice to see that a law student says that, my sister is going to Amsterdam. Is there anybody to help? And then there are, messages that pour in and say that, oh, I'm here, I'm there, I will certainly help you. And those students are not from law, but maybe from SIBM, SC MHRD. So this is the connect I was, just wanting to see it. And I keep telling my father also that such wonderful connections that we've tried to create between you all. So the silos that you all had when you all were here, SIBM fighting against SCMHRD for placements and so on and so forth. I'm sure you'll agree with us that we've broken those silos, those barriers, and we brought all of you together. And it's such a wonderful feeling, it's really a wonderful feeling. So I want you all to be deeply involved. As regards the alumni chapters that I said, we will be having advisory boards. Nilesh will send out a form, and those who are interested in being on the board, of course, we'll also ask you how well you all can contribute, the amount of time, etc. We really want to create these, because some of the initiatives that we are right now talking, we can take them forward through these alumni chapters, whether those verticals that Naveen spoke about, or even, the dissemination of knowledge of what's happening here, upgrading your, upskilling your, so many things we can do through these chapters. So please be proactive in, connecting with us more often than just such platforms.
I think that's the perfect note actually to end this evening. It's been a short but a wonderful conversation. Let me thank all of you from the bottom of our hearts. Dr. Vidya, the entire team, at SIU realizes that our true strength has always been our students, our alumni, our faculty, our staff. And, as we've completed 50 years, and it's been one huge, big chapter. We are now moving into a new chapter. I sometimes feel it's like version 2, Teaching and Research Institute. Our focus now from teaching and employability is teaching employability plus research plus community engagement. We are going to make a mark with the quality of education that we have on our new platform. So strategy, development, internationalization, these are all things that now we are living and breathing. We'd love to have you as our partners. And thank you, Dr. Nilesh, for making this connect. Thank you, all of you, for joining in.
Anita, just before you close, I really want each one of you to come to Symbiosis. I know you all couldn't travel for the last 1.5 years, but now things are opening up. Don't feel scared to come. Pune is a safe city now, much safer than what it was before. Do come and stay with us, as I said, on the campus with your families. And Nilesh, I think you need to also connect with them so that we invite you to this lovely campus and come and spend time with us. Because when you come here, you'll realize that what we are actually talking about, you'll actually see it, and you'll wonder how this was done after you all left. So I really invite you, each one of you with your families, to this lovely campus. I know whenever I meet you all, it's like, as if meeting family members after a long, long time. It's, seriously, it's each one of you matters so much to us. I wish you all great success in whatever you all do, and keep your deep engagement and connections with Symbiosis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Wish Dr. Majumdar all the best in this 50th year. It's all started because of him. Thank you.
Yes, I will certainly convey, and that's why this picture that we want to show him.